Hi, this is Granny Charlotte, and we're ready to read Chapter 8 of Little Pilgrim's Progress by Helen Taylor, adapted from the John Bunyan book. But before we do, like always, we have some vocabulary words. Now listen closely because we have 4 words today, and they're kind of difficult, so listen up. Our first word is discretion, because our pilgrim is going to meet somebody named Discretion. Discretion means to know what to do and not to do, or what to say and when to say it. Discretion. Our second word is piety. Another person pilgrim will meet. Piety means when you're serious about God and things that concern God. Piety. Our next word is prudence. You guessed it, that's another person that our pilgrim will meet, is prudence. Prudence means to make good decisions and wise choices, or to carefully think about things. Prudence. And our last word for this chapter is charity. Charity means to decide to help someone or give them something they need, like food or money. And oftentimes in God's Word or the Bible, charity refers to the word love. So that's our vocab for today, and we'll get reading. Little Christian waited by the side of Watchful in the porch of the Palace Beautiful, and presently a lady came out to speak to them. Her name was Discretion, and when Christian looked up at her, he thought her face was the sweetest he had ever seen. "Why did you call me?" she asked. Then, seeing little Christian, she put out her hand and laid it gently on his shoulder. "She is like my mother's picture," he thought. "I am sure I shall love her." Watchful answered his mistress, saying, "This boy is journeying to the celestial city, and it is too late for him to walk any farther tonight, so he would be glad to stay here if you are willing to take him in." Then Discretion asked little Christian many questions. She wished to know what city he had come and why he had left his home. She also asked him who had directed him into the way of the king, and she made him tell her of all that had happened to him on his journey. "And what is your name?" she said at last. "Christian," he replied. "I shall be so very glad if I may stay here until the morning." "Yes, you may stay," answered Discretion, smiling at the boy's anxious little face. "Wait, and I will call my daughters." She went back into the house and brought out 3 girls. 2 of them were older than Christian. Their names were Piety and Prudence. Charity, the youngest, was just about his own age. "This is one of the king's little pilgrims," said Discretion. "I think we can make room for him in the palace. Can we not?" "Oh, yes," said Prudence, and Charity ran up to him and put her hand in his, as Christiana used to do when he was at home. "Come in," said Piety. "We are very glad to see you." A number of people were in the hall of the palace, and they all looked kindly at little Christian as he came in. "Mother takes care of them," said Charity. "We girls look after the little pilgrims." "It is not quite time for supper," said Discretion, "but no doubt Christian is tired. Take him into your own room and let him rest." The 3 girls led the way to a comfortable room where a lamp was burning and casting its cheerful light upon the walls that were covered with beautiful pictures. Here Christian sat down, while Piety and Prudence took up the needlework that they had laid aside when their mother called for them. Charity brought a footstool and seated herself near to Christian. She was a kind-hearted little girl and loved to spend her time in waiting upon her mother's guests and in doing all she could to make them happy. "If you are not too tired to talk," said Piety, "we should like to hear about your journey. What made you leave your home?" "I was frightened," answered Christian, for the strangers who came to our city used to tell us that it would be destroyed. And how was it that you thought of coming into the way of the king? I had read of the celestial city in my book, and one day Evangelist met me, and he showed me the way to the wicket gate. Did you stay at the house of the interpreter? Oh, yes, replied Christian. He was very kind to me. I saw the picture of the Good Shepherd, and I watched the soldier who fought his way into the palace. I wish I could have stayed there a long time. What have you done today? First, I passed by the cross, and there I lost my burden, and the Shining Ones brought me these new white clothes. They gave me a message from the king, and one of them set this mark upon my forehead. After that, I found 3 boys sleeping by the wayside. I tried to wake them, but they would not listen to me. Then formalist and hypocrisy climbed over the wall, but I think they chose the wrong path when we came to the hill, for I did not see them again. The hill is hard to climb, said Piety. Yes, I thought I should never get up. And then, when I saw the lions, I very nearly turned back again, but the keeper called to me and told me they were chained. Then Prudence began to question the little pilgrim. Do you ever think about your old home, she asked. Yes, said Christian, I think about it often. Have you sometimes wished to go back again? Once or twice when I've been very, very tired. But I am sure the celestial city is far better than ours, and I know I shall be happy when I get there. Why shall you be happy? I shall see the prince, said little Christian. It was so cruel for the wicked people to nail him to the cross, and I love him because he died for our sakes. And my mother is with the king. She went away when I was a baby, but I shall know her because I have seen her picture. Have you any little sisters? Asked Charity. No, but Christiana used to play with me. She is kind and gentle. Why didn't you bring her with you? Said Charity. Then you would have had someone to talk to on the way. She did not believe what the strangers said, replied Christian, and she has her brothers to take care of. They have no father or mother, and Christiana has to do everything herself. Didn't you talk to her and beg her to come with you? I often told her about the city, but, I might not have come myself if Evangelist had not shown me the way. And then I started at once, so that I didn't even say goodbye to Christiana. Well, perhaps Evangelist will find her, and then she will come and bring her brothers with her. Just at that moment a bell rang, and the 2 older girls folded up their work, saying, This is to tell us that our supper is ready. Little Christian was hungry as well as tired, and he enjoyed the good food that was set before him. Then Discretion herself took him upstairs into a pleasant room with a window looking toward the east, and there the little weary pilgrim slept soundly until he was awakened by the light of the rising sun. When morning came, little Christian supposed he would have to continue his journey, but as soon as breakfast was over, he heard the gentle voice of Discretion desiring him to come to her. I think it will do you good to stay with us for a few days, she said. You have walked a long way since you left home, and it is not good for little pilgrims to travel too quickly at first. I should like to stay, said Christian, if I shall not be in the way. You will not be in the way at all. Taking care of little pilgrims is part of the work that my daughters have to do for the king, and we are always glad to have children staying at the palace. Did my mother stay here? Her name was Peace, and I think she must have come this way when the king sent for her. It is a long time ago. I was quite a little baby when she went away. We will look in the records for her name If she stayed here, it will be written down. I think she was just a little bit like you, said Christian timidly. Discretion bent down and kissed the child, for she saw the tears in his eyes. You will find her again, little Christian, she whispered. And do you know that she is often very near to you? You cannot see her, but she can see you. The king is very good, and he knows how mothers love their little ones. I shall see her in the king's city? Yes, and then you will never lose her again. And my father? Asked little Christian anxiously. Will he always be busy, or do you think he will someday be able to come too? I cannot tell, replied Discretion. I am sure the king will not leave off sending messages to him, and perhaps when he knows that you and your mother are so happy, he will wish to be with you, and he will begin his pilgrimage. He will not be frightened on the way, said Christian, because he is a man and very brave. I think perhaps that even mother did not like passing the lions. When my father comes, will you tell him that I stayed here, and that when he gets to the gates of the celestial city, he will be sure to see me watching for him? Yes, I will tell him, answered Discretion. Now, I have many things to do, so Charity shall take you into the library, and you may look in the records for your mother's name. Christian spent a very happy day at the palace. Sometimes Charity was with him, and sometimes Prudence, and sometimes Piety, but they were all kind and gentle, and did everything they could to please their little guest. Christian, like so many other boys, loved to read stories and to look at pictures, and he found much to enjoy in the library of the Palace Beautiful. Prudence told him which books to read, and Piety showed him all the pictures. There were many pictures of children, like Moses lying in his cradle of bushes by the waterside, little Samuel lighting the lamps in the house of God, and little Timothy listening to his mother's teaching. And this is our dear prince himself, said Piety. You have read in your book how he came down to live among us and was a little baby in a poor home. Here you see him in the arms of his mother, and the shepherds are kneeling around him. Christian liked this picture and stood before it for some time until Charity called him to look at one that was her favorite. It was called The Guardian Angel. A little child was walking along a very narrow path, and close behind him came a beautiful angel with her hands spread out to touch his shoulders on each side. You see, he cannot fall, said Charity. The king has sent the angel, and if he slips, she will hold him fast. And here is a picture of the guardian angel. This is a very, very famous old picture, but one that you can think about whenever you're afraid or when there's danger. The time passed so quickly that the little pilgrim was surprised when evening came. Discretion had been busy all day, but before the lamps were lighted, she came into the library where Christian was reading. He laid down his book, and she drew him into her arms and talked to him in a low, gentle tone, telling him many things about their good king and the prince, his son. I've never spent such a happy day in all my life, said little Christian when he went to bed. If it were not that I wish so much to live in the king's city, I should like to stay here always. And that is our reading for today. So remember, children, wash your hands, brush your teeth, and eat a nice chip. Today, I'm going to eat a wintergreen one. See you next time.